champs right now. Turning up the amps right now. You looking at the champs right now. Y'all know we can stand that ground. You been looking at the champs.
Tonight's event features two great athletes. In the blue corner, weighing 221 pounds, a former heavyweight champion of the world, nicknamed the Dancing Destroyer, the King of Sting, the Count of Monte Fisto, and the Master of Disaster, the one, the only, James Patterson. And in the red corner, weighing in at even 261 pounds, a gold medalist and an undefeated world amateur champion from Dunoon, Scotland, nicknamed the Dunoon Donkey, Colin Spark. Hello, I'm your Seismic Cinema. I'm James. I've written an essay on it. Paul has watched Rocky in the wrong order, and Colin,
I've probably not seen it.
We are reviewing today Rocky 4. So we put the wee poll on the social media. Rocky 4. I can't even remember now what the other films were. Rocky 4 won it, and in a way, I'm quite glad it did. Well, Bad Boys is one. Bad Boys, Rocky 4, and it'll come to me.
Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills Cop. Of course, it was. When I've tried to squeeze in at some point, and it's still not won, but I'm glad Rocky 4 won. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, a bit of housekeeping then. So, you can find us, find the wee buttons on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Blue Sky, and the Facebook pages. You can watch and listen to us on YouTube, Spotify for creators, Good Pods, Apple Podcasts, Audible, Amazon Music, and Castbox.
Take a breath.
Yeah, and pretty much anywhere you can get your podcast, really. I think we're on pretty much everything. And as always, a wee shout out to the Podpack Collective, a group of indie podcasters trying to make the independent scene a better place. Go and check them out on Twitter, and you can find something that you'll like.
Fancy taking a humorous trip down a random topic each week? You do? Well, you're in luck. Casting Views, presented by me, Dan, and a host of guests, bring you just that. With topics from the world of entertainment, science, sport, and everyday life, there's bound to be a topic that's going to inform and amuse. Catch Casting Views every Sunday on all listening platforms now.
And at this point, I'm going to shout out to friends of the podcast, What's the Script? They've just finished their new episode of their new season. The episode called Johnny Dangerously, or a film called Johnny Dangerously. Never heard of the film in my life, but by the review that they gave, I am unsure if I want to watch it. So that's
I've not heard of it either.
Nah, I don't know if I fancy it. To be honest,
I'm sure the boys did it justice anyway.
No, they were pretty honest on it. Do you know what I mean? I think they didn't enjoy it as much as what we probably would have liked to. But they did say so. Every film we watch is subjective and things. So they did put a wee kind of caveat into it. So of course, people's films will be different opinions and whatever.
Hello everyone, Chris here, a co-host of the podcast What's the Script? If you're interested in listening to myself and my co-host Craig having a laugh while hosting a movie review podcast, why not give us a listen? We review movies old and new, dropping in fun trivia along the way. We highlight great things in movies as well as not so great things, all in good fun of course. So if you love your movies as much as we do, why not give us a listen? We can be found on most social media websites as well as everywhere you go for podcasts at What's the Script. Thank you.
A wee kind of backlog of the recent episodes then. So our last episode, it was released just the other day, was Snatch. Before that, we had Ghostbusters. And before that, PK and Gary brought back Seismic Soccer. So if you haven't checked them out already, go and do so. Okay. Right, so as I said, before we get into the review of Rocky 4, we catch up with my co-host here. what have you been watching since the last time I spoke to you, bud?
Much the sameness. It's just a bit of a dry spell movie wise, to be honest. I'm trying to be more like you and just commit to one series instead of jumping about. So I'm keeping going with From because I'm really interested to see where it goes. So I'm almost at the end of season 2. So there's 3 seasons out so far. So I'm going to finish that. I've been eyeing up Gangs of London. I think that sounds pretty good. Don't know if you've watched it, but
No, I've not seen it.
seems quite hyped up on my favorite Now TV anyway. Josh Radnor that played Ted on How I Met Your Mother, he's brought out a kind of rewatch podcast, which is like a real trend nowadays. Also, there's a Suits one as well. So I've been watching that. That's been a good listen. And I've watched a couple episodes of How I Met Your Mother actually off the back of that. Something I've been meaning to watch, and I'm thinking of having it as like my easy watch because From's quite intense. I've watched, I think, the first season of Welcome to Wrexham, but I was thinking of working my way through that as well. But no other movie. To be honest, at the moment, the only movies I'm really checking out are the ones for the podcast. But Easter holidays are on the horizon, so hopefully get a bit more watching done at that point.
I mean, I'm a big fan of Rob McElhenney, who's obviously he's the co-owner of Wrexham, because I watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So I know him for that, obviously, and Deadpool.
It's I've watched. It's pretty good watch if you like your kind of football documentaries. So,
for me, I have finished Sons of Anarchy, so it's done.
Ooh.
Finished.
Tick. Gonna watch From now.
Well, I don't know, mate. It's on the next. I might go and watch Dexter, the original Sin, the prequel to Dexter.
You know, watched that yet?
No, listen, mate. As I say, I'm not starting a new show midway through the one I'm watching, so I'm going to watch the Dexter Original Sin, and then maybe The Night Agent season 2, which is on Netflix. That was decent.
We've watched that. We've watched season 1, and we've had bits of season 2 on, but I'm just really struggling to focus on more than one show at the moment. So try and concentrate.
Look, go and check Sons of Anarchy out, mate, and you get a chance. It's absolutely amazing TV. Actually,
I watched like the first like 6 or 7 episodes like a few years ago, but maybe I'll go back to it. I
actually put it, kind of place my rank my TV shows. Do you know what I mean? So Lost at the top, 24 was second, but I'm thinking this is probably going to replace 24 now. And Sopranos is up there as well, but I think
I wouldn't get too many spoilers because we could have done a wee updated TV show ranking, which you just ruined.
Well, we can still do it. I mean, I'll be able to talk about things and that, so I can still do it at some point in the future. And of course, it wouldn't be the same if I didn't talk about the next thing that I watch on a weekly basis, and is Expedition Bigfoot. So I watched the season finale of the season 6, and it was pretty riveting stuff, mate. Not that you care, but I'm going to tell you.
I care that you care.
I'm going to tell you what they found, man. So not only did they find handprints and all the rest of it, they always seem to find footprints and they cast it all and things, but they actually managed to find they captured a bipedal mammal walking in the daylight. It wasn't a bear or anything. It was so freaky to see. And they also seen stuff in the thermal imaging, the thermal cameras as well at night time. They found new tree structures and nests as well, and kind of handmade reefs and things like that, man. So honestly, it is. I would go and check it out, mate. If you're kind of curious about these things, go and check it out. And speaking to Dan from Casting Views, he says that the upcoming episode featuring me on cryptids and conspiracies is out this week. So it'll be out by the time this comes out, certainly. But if you haven't checked that out, go and check out me on Dan's podcast, trying to convince everybody that Bigfoot does exist. And it'll be it.
Sure, it'll be a great watch. Or listen.
I'll listen. I'll listen. Audio only. Right, okay. So on to the point of this podcast episode then. Rocky 4 So Rocky IV was released in 1985. It was directed by Sylvester Stallone. It was written by Sylvester Stallone, and it was starred by Sylvester Stallone. So he played Rocky Balboa, of course. Carol Weathers played Apollo Creed. Dolph Lundgren played Ivan Drago. Burt Young was Paulie. Tony Barton is Duke. Bridget Nielsen, Ludmilla. And I want to give a wee shout out here to the godfather of soul, James Brown. The runtime of the film was 1 hour and 31 minutes. The budget was 30 million, and it took just shy of 128 million. So not bad wee return there. IMDb scored a disappointing, actually, but I'll say a wee spoiler for my Seismic star, 6.9 out of 10. Like, what is that about, man? Honestly. And then even worse, Rotten Tomatoes critic scored at 39%.
I saw that. That was an interesting one.
Ah, bizarre, man. Like, totally bizarre. The tagline of the film is, well, one of many taglines. The one that I liked best was, when East meets West, the champion remains standing. All right, man. So that's the kind of the deets of Rocky IV. So before we go into the scenes and whatnot, so if you go and tell us, mate, your history of the film, your franchise.
So right on brand. This was my first time seeing this one. I've done a bit of a poll with this franchise, if I'm completely honest. So it's going to amaze you, but I actually saw Creed first in the cinema. So I saw Creed first, and I'd just like to caveat it by saying I've got no real life interest in boxing, but you'll be glad to know I really enjoy boxing films. So that's a plus. So I saw Creed in the cinema, and then years later, I think it was maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, I watched the original Rocky, and subsequently I've seen Creed 2. I wanted to go see Creed 3 in the cinema, but I just never made it at the time. And I haven't seen Rocky 2 or 3 or 5 or 6. So I've seen Rocky 1, Rocky 4, and Creed 1 and 2. So interestingly, because I'd seen Creed, there's actually quite a lot in that reflects back to this one. So I actually knew a fair bit about this because I've seen the Creed movies.
Aye.
So yeah, a bit backwards, but I'm a big fan. Time providing, I'd love to fill in the gaps, but I really enjoyed the 2 Rocky films I've seen and the 2 Creed films I've seen.
Aye. For me, mate, I've not seen any of the Creed films, but I know that Dolph Lundgren's in.
They're good.
Aye, I know Dolph Lundgren's in one of them, or 2 of them, maybe, I don't know, but I've not seen any of them, buddy. And then obviously Rocky 1 to 5. I watched when I was younger with my dad. You kind of feel like it's a kind of rite of passage. I mean, you have to watch these films because it's just as, you know, one of the films you would watch over and over again. It's like a family type of film, I don't think, but because we like sport, it's like this is such a thing you watch. Do you know what I mean? So I watched it when I was younger. Obviously when I was, you know, a wee bit older, obviously not, because I was born in 1985, mate, when this came out. Do you know what I mean? So I watched it probably when I was about maybe, I don't know, 10, 9, 10. I don't know, about that time anyway. Probably watched this one before the other ones. Do you know what I mean? Because of the hype it got, because of obviously the Cold War and all that sort of thing. But I'm still indecisive about what's my favourite Rocky film, mate, to be honest with you. Because I hold 3 in such high regard. You know what I mean, man? Like, it's brilliant. And then this one as well, like, I probably do prefer this one, mate, because it's one that I've got probably most memories of. But it's so difficult to split them, I think.
It's weird though that I never felt lost at all even though I hadn't seen 2 and 3, and I think it probably is because I've seen the Creed movies. I knew a lot of the characters and a lot of the kind of outcomes from this.
Aye. So
I'm surprised you've not seen the Creed movies. You should definitely check them out.
Aye, like I say, mate. I remember they came out in the pictures and stuff like that, but I'm not off going. So it's just I'll just wait till they come out, whatever, and we'll catch them at some point.
Yeah, we actually reviewed Creed 1 way back in the day.
Did you?
Yeah.
I try and check it out then. As should all the listeners.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, I've been a bit lazy, mate. I've not actually got any trivia, so I'm hoping that you could pick up the slack and give us some trivia.
Yeah, when I'm the non-host, I like to come up with at least a couple of things. So you'll like this one. I'm not sure if you're aware of this. You might be. See, like Drago, Dolph Lundgren. I can't say it. He was helped by someone famous. Do you know this one? In his preparation for the film?
No. Is it Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Your man Arnie, yeah. So Arnold Schwarzenegger apparently helped him prepare for this, like physically.
Excellent. He's always did a good job, man.
So I thought you'd like that. It's funny, I was thinking about this when I was watching it, and it was interesting. There was actually a statistic. Rocky 4 is 31.9% montages, which is apparently nearly 1/3 of the film, which is quite interesting. The actress, so Bridgel Nielsen, that plays Ludmilla.
Aye.
She was engaged to Sylvester Stallone when this film was filmed. Second last one, Rocky's speech at the end that he got the standing ovation for was improvised by Stallone.
Aye, but I didn't know that, man. But aye, it can all change.
We've already talked about the last one. Well, we talked about it in pre-production that the 35th director's cut took the robot out.
Yes, which is when I watched actually for this bloody podcast, and I'm like, well, where's the robot, man? Where is the robot? But I had the DVDs, I had the box set.
I remember watching. Obviously, this was your pick this week, and I remember when I was watching it with the robot, I was like, "What am I watching?"
Aye. At the start, it'd be like, "What's going on here?"
Spoilers. I quite liked it. It added a wee bit of charm, I think.
Yes. Right. Just for the trivia. So we'll just go into it then, mate. So obviously, depending on which version of the film you watched, this is like. So when I watched, mate, it was like obviously the Rocky 3 recap, basically, where it was like kind of the flashbacks of Rocky and Clubber Lang. It showed you the ones where, like, you know, Rocky was defeated and how the Apollo Creed came to his trainer because of what happened to Mickey, and then trained Rocky, and he basically got his payback on Clubber Lang. But there's also the other version as well that it takes you right to the end of Rocky 3, which is one of my favourite scenes in the actual film, because he talks about as Apollo Creed's quote is, you fight great, but I'm a great fighter. It's that's such a good line, and they go to spar each other, and then it just cuts, and it's like ring the bell. He goes ding ding. And then it's that wee fight. So obviously we watched two different versions. I think it's only the start of the film and the robot it differs.
I was gonna when you were describing that there, I was like, I don't actually remember that bit.
Aye. So the other bits that differ. Because I don't remember this as being as long. And I was like, where's the bit where he says the words, you fight great, but I'm a great fighter. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, I don't really remember that either.
But that's in Rocky 3. But I'm pretty sure that they say that at the end of Rocky, at the start of Rocky 4, because they recap it all. So it kind of
at least I'm unspoiled then if I do want to watch Rocky 3.
Aye. So Which bit? It started Rocky 4 then. You seen what was the start of it? Just out of interest, because you said you don't remember any of that stuff.
The first thing I really remember in the film is the robot. The robot, probably. That's like the first thing that kind of sticks in my head, you know.
Aye. Because it's obviously it's painting the picture of how close they are. Do you know what I mean? Rocky and Apollo, and how much camaraderie there is, the sportsmanship, the mutual respect that they've got for one another.
Because am I right in saying in one of the earlier films, I can't remember, was it the first film? Maybe one of the films they fought against each other, didn't they? And then they became friends afterwards.
Aye, it's the first film.
Aye, yeah, that's the one I've seen. Yeah, that makes sense.
So Apollo Creed basically he's a champion. He wants to give somebody a chance, like the working man, a chance to have a shot at the belt, and then Rocky's selected, and then it's like it comes into that. Aye, so that's how they know each other. Aye.
I would like to give a wee shout out to. I was absolutely gutted when Carl Weathers died because obviously I'm trying to think. I think I probably watched The Mandalorian before Rocky, so I think The Mandalorian was actually the first time I came across Carl Weathers, and then obviously we reviewed Predator a couple of years after that. So I'm wearing my Star Wars t-shirt as a wee tribute to the big man.
We homage to him, absolutely. So obviously it's a wee flashback there, into the actual kind of the actual film after the flashback. You get the domestic life, and you get Polly's birthday, which is the robot scene. So it's a wee birthday party for Polly as his brother-in-law.
I remember him from the first film.
Do you remember the robot's name?
No.
I think it's Seiko. So basically the robot's a wee maid companion that brings Polly's birthday cake. It's like, happy birthday, Polly.
He gives it, like, later on in the film, he gives it like it's like a different voice and stuff, and he's basically dating it at that point.
So what was your take on that scene, mate? Because Polly he's quite a, I don't know, he seemed very ungrateful, didn't he? He's quite a grumpy character and things like that. What's your take on Polly as a character from that scene, and what did you make of the whole robot? Obviously you said you liked it and whatever, but
I liked the robot. It was very kind of like 80s, 90s kind of vibe. I don't know, did you ever watch Saved by the Bell growing up?
Aye.
Do you remember Screech's robot that he built in his bedroom?
I can't remember that, no. But I do remember watching the TV show.
That's kind of what it reminded me of. I liked it. It was random, but it was funny. I'm surprised they took it out, to be honest, because it's probably quite iconic amongst the fan base. I really like Polly because even though I only seen like the original Rocky once, I immediately remembered him because he's obviously like a really good pal. But I think he's really funny. There's a bit later in the film, like in the kind of final fight, where he has a couple of lines that are brilliant, and that was essentially why I chose him as my screen name. So I like that he's the kind of loyal sidekick. It was like him. It was basically been really kind of heartfelt, and he was basically saying like if he could like crawl out of another man's skin or something like that, he would be Rocky. But then when he saw Drago, he's like, I've changed my mind. I don't want to be you, or something along those lines.
Aye, but he's got during the film before the fight, he's got quite a heartfelt moment with Rocky.
I liked him. He was probably one of my favorite characters. Actually, I thought he was quite funny.
Aye,
I thought it was funny when he gave the robot, as I said, the voice as well, and he was basically in a relationship with the robot.
That's right. Aye, kind of like this character, this scene. Sorry, like the robot, I found is interesting because I know I didn't see this version of it, recently, and I've obviously seen it before and whatever, but it wasn't until I started watching it again. It was like the robot kind of symbolises Ivan Drago a wee bit because he's quite robotic-like, isn't he, as well?
Yeah.
And it's like, so when the nature of Rocky and the artificial robotic nature of Ivan Drago, I found that quite interesting.
So apparently, Drago was meant to contrast with like previous antagonists who were a lot more like charismatic, so that was like an intentional choice.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's pretty much, I think. I like Paulie as well, mate. Paulie's a good character, do you know what I mean? I just think he's just a wee kind of grumpy. And he's
Can you
obviously
do a good?
obviously-
Can you do a good Adrian?
but in the Rocky voice.
Adrian.
Adrian! Adrian!
It's funny because again, before I watched Rocky, Harvey and Mike in Suits used to like do like Stallone impressions in the show, and they would do the Adrian bit as well.
I think that's the only thing I can really do. Well, I can't even do that well, but hey, never mind. Right, so we've now got the introduction of Ivan Drago. Now, again, the version I watched, mate, I've got Carol Weathers, I've got Apollo Creed, he's in the swimming pool, and he's got the TV by the pool, and he sees Ivan Drago on the TV, and he goes like that, he wants to fight in America, he wants to get a box and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, I had that bit as well.
Right, okay, just good, because that just kind of seemed, when I watched it, it seemed like at the very start of the film. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, what? Like, that's no, I don't remember that being that way. But anyway, so we've got Paul Creed. He's obviously minding his own business. He hears the TV. He's got this kind of new fighter, Ivan Drago, who wants to kind of make a name for himself. He's an amateur boxing champion. And basically, he's kind of introduced as like the kind of man-made into. It's like this kind of the science behind it all, and as if he's been made by machines, sort of thing.
Yeah, we obviously see during one of the many montages, you see him getting injected by all sorts, don't you?
Aye, that's it, man. Right, injections. But there's a really good scene later on in the film about the different types of training methods and stuff like that.
Aye, I like that bit. Yeah.
Aye.
We joke about the montages, but they're actually like one of the best parts of the Rocky movies.
Absolutely, and the music as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, can't mention the music of this film because it's still my kind of, whenever I go to the gym, mate, or I go out running and whatever, it's still kind of my playlist. Do you know what I mean? You always push yourself to these songs because it is Rocky after all.
The real easy comparison, which also has montages, like I feel like Rocky and the Karate Kid are like off the same block in a lot of ways. Do you know what I mean? Including having like the kind of legacy sequels and things like that, and a lot of the montages and things like that. So, yeah, I like both the films.
Aye. So Apollo thinks it's a good idea to, meet with Rocky to tell him basically that he wants to fight Ivan Drago as an exhibition match. He's thinking that I can, kind of welcome him into the boxing world and that he can fight a former champion. Basically to school him because Apollo's kind of having a hard time trying to let go because he's stuck back in he thinks he's younger again and he's still got it in him to fight, whatever. No realising this guy's just kind of fresh out his nappies type thing when it comes into boxing. Do you know what I mean? Like, but he's quite determined to fight Drago, and I think everybody's concerned about it. Do you know what I mean? Because quite rightly so.
It was a hard watch because even if I hadn't read the description to the movie, which spoiled it anyway, I obviously knew Apollo Creed died because it's Creed's son that's in the Creed movies. So, like, I'm kind of building up throughout the first half of the film towards his inevitable death, which makes a lot of the scenes of him kind of looking forward to the fight and talking about the fight. You're just kind of... It must have been a massive shock because I looked it up whether they spoiled this in the promotion for the film, but it was kept under wraps, so it'd have been quite a thing to be in the cinema when Creed dies.
Aye. I mean, I've seen Creed. I don't know how Dolph Lundgren is in the films, but I think, well, he's a machine like here, but I think Rocky And it's like Apollo Creed himself, he doesn't like being put out the spotlight. He wants to be in the spotlight all the time, and this is his way back into it. Do you know what I mean? All the cameras are on this Russian guy. How can I get back into it? And he feels this is the easy way in to get back into the spotlight again. And there's obviously quite rightly so they don't want him to hurt himself. And we cut to the press conference. You know, he's made it aware that he's going to fight Ivan Drago in an exhibition match, and it gets quite rowdy as well. We've got quite a few people involved in it, and we've got Ivan Drago doesn't say much. He says one thing actually during that press conference, and we've got his kind of promoter who's basically telling Apollo Creed he's a has-been and he doesn't want to fight him. He wants to fight Rocky and all the rest of it. What did you make of that scene, mate, at the press conference?
I think the main thing that comes to mind is just how like cocky Apollo Creed was, and just the disrespect that he was shown to Drago. So obviously what happens to him is horrendous, and you wouldn't hope for that, but just the way he approached the press conference and his song and dance at the start before the fight.
On to
that. He was all just very arrogant, wasn't it? And Drago's obviously not a great guy. Some of the one line which we'll get to comes to mind, but he's really kind of controlled by his entourage, isn't he? His wife, who just seems to just be in it for the business. He feels more like a tool to her than to like an actual life partner.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree, mate. Apollo Creed was very cocky in the interview. I mean, it was as if that, you know, Ivan Drago was there because of him. I mean, he was the spotlight. He tried to take over. He kept on saying a few things as well. Like, it was obviously arrogant. It was condescending. It was basically, he's been cheeky. And he's like, why do you have to be rude and all that sort of thing? He goes, don't beat me with the bad guy here. I'm not the bad guy. But he was just, again, trying to get a rise. And he didn't like it when the guy was rude to him back about him being a has-been and stuff like that, because that, for him, was hitting a nerve. Do you know what I mean? It hit a nerve there. And then they asked Ivan Drago a question. It's like, you know, did they say anything? And it's like the man is shocked. You know what I mean? It's like, you can't believe he's here and all that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? And
there's a line I made a note of. I think it came from the press conference where Apollo Creed said the man's tongue didn't come through customs because he wasn't saying anything.
Aye. So
what's the real life equivalent to that fight? Like, do you know how like Mike Tyson came out of retirement for like one random match recently, didn't he?
Was it Jake Paul or something like that, I thought?
Aye. So what is? Are you into your boxing in real life?
I used to be more into it, mate. I mean, I'll watch a few fights, whatever. Now, do you know what I mean?
So what would be the real life equivalent to like Apollo Creed versus Drago?
I think you're Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, but Mike Tyson was over the hill. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't say Ivan. Sorry,
Apollo Creed was over the hill in this as well.
I don't think he was that over the hill compared to Tyson was. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, mate. A comparison to be fair now, but
when I think of Tyson, all I think of is The Hangover.
So I don't know, mate, but it's obviously again as the press conference does finish, all Apollo Creed cares about is what, he's like, did I do good? Did I do well? Did I come across well? Do you know what I mean? It's just himself. He's so insecure about how he's portrayed and all that. He wants to just be the best. So even asking Rocky that, do you know what I mean? Rocky was like, he did well, kind of thing, you know.
Because Rocky was his kind of supporter, wasn't he? He was there on the panel.
He's like, are you training, Apollo? And he's like, I'll try. Because he knows how much you probably won't listen to him anyway, do you know what I mean? So he's like, I'll try. But so we get to the fight itself, mate, and it's Las Vegas, I'm sure it is. And we'll get the flamboyance, the extravagance of the Apollo Creed's entrance. which is performed by James Brown, living in America. And for me, mate, this is probably the best film, real life walk on ever. Honestly, it's amazing.
I found it hard to watch because I knew what was about to happen, and obviously
Aye.
the tonal shift from that entrance to what's going to happen to him in like 10 minutes time was quite surreal.
Aye, because we've got the contrast between Ivan Drago's entrance. I mean, he's kind of just standing still, mate. Do you know what I mean? And he's looking round, and it's just a massive circus. It's real. You know what I mean? It's like the stage and all that, and it's like, what is going on here? This is like nothing to what he's ever used to.
His
But,
get up as well, the stars and stripes and his trousers and the hat and everything.
absolutely.
It's like a Captain America rally.
I'm going to reference How I Met Your Mother here, mate, because you've seen all it, haven't you? How I Met Your Mother.
I've seen what? Sorry,
you've seen all of How I Met Your Mother, haven't you?
Yep, 100%.
So you remember then that Barney Stinson dresses up in the Apollo Creed outfit, and they have the Halloween party up on the roof.
If I saw it, I would remember it, but I probably hadn't seen the Rocky film when I watched that. So I'm doing a wee bit of a rewatch. So if I come back across it, I'll let you know.
I can't remember what episode it is, but I'm pretty sure he's trying to kind of woo Robin at the time or something like that, or vice versa. I don't really remember. And it's like
the slutty pumpkin.
It's after that, mate. I think it might be the time where Ted reconnects with the slutty pumpkin. Because he goes to find out where she had the costume and all that sort of thing. I can't remember, but check it out, mate, because he plays the music.
In case she is the future wife, you should probably stop calling her the slutty pumpkin.
Aye, indeed. So obviously Apollo is really underestimated Drago. Do you know what I mean? He's treating the fight as an exhibition fight, but he's treating it like a big entertainment. But Drago's just stands still, mate. He's still really phased by anything. You know what I mean? It's and then the fight itself, mate, is obviously we did get the USA versus Russia type thing. The Cold War is the kind of metaphor behind it all. Do you know what I mean? The flashy freedom of America compared to the kind of communist USSR. Do you know what I mean? Like Russia and things like that.
It did make for a really intense atmosphere, particularly in the away leg.
Aye, didn't half, mate. Aye, it's always good to get a couple of away goals, mate. So that is.
Yeah.
But obviously the fight itself, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's like obviously it lasts 2 rounds, the fight, and I mean, Apollo does get a few punches in, mate. I mean, a few in the breadbasket and things like that. But as soon as Ivan connects with his first couple of punches, mate, it's game over, isn't it?
Yeah. I know we're also going to talk about the kind of ethical dilemma that Rocky faces.
Aye. So just want to come on to that, mate. Obviously, he's taking a massive beating, and I think basically Apollo will die in the ring. That's what he loved doing, and he told Rocky under no certain terms that he do not throw the towel in, no matter how much he's getting battered. And Rocky doesn't throw the towel in. Everybody's telling him to do it, he doesn't. And then as I think he tries to throw the towel in, or maybe he drops it, I can't really remember now, but the punch, mate, and then actually seeing the punch and then seeing Apollo on the actual, on the ring, on the mat, you can see him twitching and taking a kind of a seizure. That was horrible, mate, wasn't it?
Yeah. It kind of puts you in that position, isn't it? Like if your best pals told you not to throw the towel in, but then you see everything, like you can see the conflict within Rocky. I've got my answer ready. if it was me, Rocky, I'd have thrown the towel in, because although he didn't want that to happen. I think there's a difference between him getting beat up really badly and literally dying. So I like to think if I'd been in that position, I would have thrown the towel in and stopped the fight. So what about yourself?
I'm the same, mate. I would have thrown the towel in as well. I think, I mean, obviously it's an internal struggle for him, do you know what I mean? To what does he do here? But Apollo doesn't know he's going to die. Do you know what I mean? He just knows he's going to just get maybe a knockout or whatever, or he doesn't know he's going to die. I think if you asked him, if you don't, you're going to die if the towel doesn't get thrown in, you'd have told Rocky to do it. But I would have thrown it as well. And even if he threw the towel in and Apollo, obviously survived it, I think Apollo would have found it in his heart to forgive Rocky anyway, mate. You know what I mean? Because of how close they were and whatever.
If he dies, he dies.
Well, that's it. And you know what? I couldn't believe it all. Like, they obviously Drago win the fight, and they're bloody interviewing him as Apollo's like, lying in the ring. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I found that bizarre, but
that line was shocking, and although you have like maybe initially a wee bit of sympathy for Drago because he's like a weapon of the Soviet Union, basically. But as soon as he said that line and showed no regard whatsoever for a human life, that's when he just becomes. I don't want to shoehorn. I'm not going to apologize for it. There's a lot of comparisons here with similarities with Drago and Darth Vader, and a lot of the comments about being a machine rather than a man. And that's the moment where he just goes from being like a wee bit of a bit of a victim to just being a total like this. He's a top tier kind of movie villain, Drago. I would say like that line about if he dies was chilling, wasn't it?
It was. If he dies, he dies. Aye. And I think he must have like 5 lines in the film or something. I mean, and every one of them is pretty much like.
That's the best. That's the best line of the film for me, though. I would say. Not the best, but like the most memorable anyway. Like if you were to think of one quote from the film, that'd be it. I would say.
Aye. And he says to Rocky as well later on, "How I will break you." And he says in Russian, he goes, "His face is like iron." Do you know what I mean?
There was another good. I think it was maybe during the press conference. I think it was maybe translated from Russian, but it was like basically, how did you get in that shape? And it was like your Popeye, he ate his spinach every day.
Aye. And he also says as well, "I came here to win," or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Or I didn't come here to lose. One of the two. I can't remember.
I think the fact he doesn't say a lot, I think it does add that kind of intrigue, because it does make you want to know. I can't remember if you get more of his backstory in Creed. You probably do. But it'd be good to know kind of how he ended up the way he is.
Aye. And obviously he's getting remorse, mate. Do you know what I mean? As you said, do you know what I mean? It's a pure mechanical mindset. It's just an obstacle in the way, mate, to what he needs to get to, and it's to beat Rocky, to be champion.
And it works though, because when Rocky's building up to go fight him, like, you're nervous, aren't you? You're nervous for him after what you witnessed.
Exactly. He's lost his best pal because of him, do you know what I mean? And he could be next. And everybody said that to him, do you know what I mean? You're going to die and all the rest of it. But obviously, as you've kind of touched on, mate, do you know what I mean? It's the ethical decisions, mate, of Rocky. You know what I mean? It's very difficult. And obviously, his guilt, do you know what I mean? He feels really guilty about it all, which kind of later kind of relies him on, mate, to be determined to beat Drago for Apollo.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And a wee bit for him as well.
Aye, well, of course. Obviously, they have the funeral and all that as well. Do you know what I mean? Rocky says a few things about, he helped him, all the rest of it. And Duke as well, do you know what I mean? Spoke about him too. It was all kind of nice words. And and things. Is there anything about the funeral you wanted to discuss, mate?
Just that Rocky must have felt so culpable in it. Like, imagine being at that funeral when you literally could have stopped that and having to face his family because Adonis, I think is his son's name. He must have. He was either really young or he was maybe like the wife was pregnant. Maybe I can't remember. But it's not obviously a great situation.
Aye.
Just on Duke, he from memory he trains Apollo's son in Creed.
Oh, good.
I think he comes back in. I'm sure because I'm sure I knew him even though I hadn't seen 2 and 3. I felt like I knew his character, and I think he does train Adonis in the Creed movies.
I like Trick, mate.
So yeah, it'd have been a tough one for him. It's hard because he'd done what Apollo wanted, but just not with the right result.
Yeah. I know. Right, so Rocky decides to fight him then. There's a wee press conference going about. It happened, and it's like, they're fighting each other. When? December 25th. Where? Russia. And everybody's faces is like, well, why Christmas? And then why Russia? And then it's the whole kind of his promoter again. It's like, oh, these are all cheats in America. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want it to be fair and all the rest of it. But they asked Rocky why, and he's like, that's what I was told. This is what needs to happen. So he's basically resigned to the fact that in order to get his revenge and to beat this guy and for Apollo, he's just going to have to do what he's told basically and beat him in his home turf. What did you make of the whole December 25th thing, mate?
It's a bit of a weird one. It's also surprising that so many people were at it on Christmas Day, you know. I think just in general, I don't know how I feel about his decision because there's quite a few scenes. There's not that many scenes with him and Adrian, but there's quite a few scenes with his son. And when he's got the son at home, it's like, see that decision to go away at Christmas, but also to put his life on the line. And it's like, surely being at Apollo's funeral and seeing the impact that his death had on his family, it's like, do you really want to put your own family through the ringer as well? And obviously, Adrian's not very supportive of it at first. And his son, who I forgot his name, his son's a bit more excited about it, but he makes fun of him at one point, doesn't he? He says he's got like a square head, or there's something where he kind of takes the mick out of him a wee bit.
Is his name no Rocky Jr.?
I'm not sure. He says something about I'd be scared if like this big giant was coming to punch me in the face or something like that. I can't remember the exact wording, but
his son's a big arsehole in the fifth one.
Those scenes were quite hard when like he wasn't really thinking about his family. He was thinking about Apollo, but I think he was also thinking about his own career and reputation as well.
Aye. Because all the eyes are on him, mate. Do you know what I mean? They expected him, I think, to fight him because of that. Do you know what I mean? I think that was probably selfish, mate. Do you know what I mean? He didn't. He just kind of because Adrian didn't realise that the fight was actually taking place, mate. Because she got out of a car and all the reporters were like, "Oh, you're going to Russia on December 25th," and she's like, "What are you talking about? I don't know anything about this." And then later we find out they get into an argument and things, and that's when we get the first montage, mate, of no easy way out, and that's the kind of he's driving the car, and it's kind of he's thinking about Apollo and things. I
do love the music in these films, like as I mentioned earlier, but like the Karate Kid, I love the kind of music they have in these films, particularly in the montages.
Aye,
they're good driving tunes.
Absolutely, mate. They get to Russia, mate. Eventually, it's Siberia, I think it might be. in Russia, and it's like it's so isolated, mate, isn't it? When he goes to his
On
he
purpose, though.
affected this.
Did he not just say he wanted a bit of quiet?
By the way,
That
he
time to
wanted a
himself.
bit quiet. You wanted a bit quiet, and you get put out to the wilderness, mate. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of cabin. There's loads of snow. There's logs, there's mountains, and all the rest of it. What did you make of that? Kind of his kind of training environment, mate, compared to obviously Ivan Drago's, which is basically state of the art, high tech training.
I think it kind of reminds me of like when national football teams go to international tournaments and they obviously put a lot of thought into their location, and sometimes they do choose to be right out the way so there's less distractions for like the players going out on the town, that kind of thing. So I think I think that was one of the strongest aspects of the film from a filmmaking standpoint, was the contrasting montages of the preparation and how Drago was getting all this professional support, a wee bit of steroids or whatever it looks at, and then he's working out just inside the whole time, whereas obviously Rocky's training himself more in the kind of tough environment, and obviously he's not going to be fighting in the snow, but I think the work that he put in benefited him in terms of the fight in the end. And there's a bit, I don't know if we want to touch on it now, but there's a bit in the training montage where it's like cutting between like Drago doing like the weights, but then it's showing like Rocky with like the trees and like cutting down like trees and things like that. But that comes back later because there's a particular maneuver that Rocky does in one of the scenes that kind of links back to the bit with the trees.
Aye, look at the.
But I did like the montages.
Aye, the training scenes to reflect one another, mate. You'll also get the Rocky get up the hill, mate, up the incline, natural hills. I mean, where we get Drago who's running a treadmill. It's going up at a 90-degree angle, pretty much. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like no 90 degree, but it's going right up. You know what I mean? Like 45 degrees, and it's like that's pretty intense. And then obviously the weight machines, the sleds, and things like that. So it's man versus machine, mate, isn't it? At the end of the day, that's what it's kind of reflecting.
Definitely.
I did like the bit as well, mate, when we've got Polly, who's like he's got to the cabin. He's like, "What's going on here, man? There's no TV in there." He's like, "There's no TV, there's no booze. What's going on?" So he's got a culture shock.
It's good that he had his pals with him though, anyway, and then Adrian obviously makes a dramatic appearance as well.
Aye. Because obviously he was isolated, mate. He was isolated for the fact that he was isolated for Apollo, but he was isolated in Russia as well. But he was also isolated for Adrian, wasn't he, as well? So he was, and I think when Adrian came, that's when you seen him a wee bit more kind of determination and motivation, mate, came from him too. I liked it when he's obviously had the kind of the kind of, you call them, chaperones. They were kind of where you go, they go. And it's like he starts taking them a mad kind of detour and all that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? To get away from them. That's when he's up the hills. That was good.
I think what the film did a really good job of is when he's preparing and then like walking in, and then even when he's in the ring as well, you really don't see any way in which you can defeat Drago. It is that, I think they described it as kind of David and Goliath. But it does a really good job. Like, I assumed obviously that Rocky would win, but you really don't feel that way for a lot of the runtime.
I know. He's up against it, mate, isn't he? But so Adrian shows up, mate. It's quite, she says to him, I think she says, like, I'm with you, and that's what he basically needed. He needed that kind of that shift in himself to reignite the drive and the focus to get where he needs to be, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like I was saying there. So
who was looking after? Was the son just stay at like a friend? I know they show him in a couple of scenes. Was he just like a friend's house or something?
I don't know.
Remember they
Actually,
showed him watching the boxing?
aye, must have been a Francis. Or maybe
Yeah.
it was Apollo's wife. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Not important in the scheme of things.
No, I know. But obviously the training montage you're talking about, mate, is the Hearts on Fire song with it's basically the two kind of mirroring each other about running and the sled pulls and all that sort of thing, the sit-ups and Rocky was doing the sit-ups from the kind of the rafters in the barn, which is pretty difficult, man. Do you know what I mean? But
We're suckers for these kind of dual montages. Like there was a bit in Snatch last week as well with the was it a sheep or no?
that was a rabbit, was it? No, the rabbit and the
The pig.
dogs.
No, it was the rabbit and the dogs, was it? Yeah.
Aye.
But we at Seismic Cinema like these montages where they show a bit of contrast.
That's it, mate. We do indeed. Right, I think now we're going to go to fight night, mate. Obviously, if I've missed anything, obviously you can come back, mate, and we'll cover it. But it's fight night, mate, in Moscow. The mood is tense, mate. To quote Anchorman.
Don't talk about it.
The mood is tense. No, so obviously it's Christmas Day in the Russia. People very kind of, I would say they're not too aggressive, mate, but you can tell that they're a rowdy bunch and that, and they've got the banners everywhere and all the rest of it. There's a lot of military presence as well, which kind of basically puts you on guard right away, mate, doesn't it? You know you're not meant to be there. And we've got the opposite this time, mate. We've got Ivan Drago's entrance, mate, which is basically a mirror image of what Apollo Creed did, obviously, but it's more like it's a Russian anthem, mate, isn't it? It's the massive applause. It's like a national anthem, a hero's welcome type thing.
Aye, the entrance was very intimidating. It kind of reminds me a wee bit like, obviously Rangers played in Fenerbahce recently, but see when like teams go to Turkey or like to Olympiacos, like it felt like that kind of atmosphere, didn't it?
Aye.
Just that kind of tension.
And obviously Rocky comes out, mate, with no music, it's again the opposite of Apollo Creed, mate. He just comes out, no music, he's just focused, but he's obviously getting booed and he's got stuff thrown at him, mate, as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's just the way it is. And then we've got
not squished by water bottles though.
Aye,
Mad Cherney comes out of nowhere.
We at Seismic Cinema do not condone the squishing of water bottles.
The super soaker.
Oh, that's a cracker, man. But we get, before Rocky comes out, mate, we get the wee kind of spiel for Paulie, mate. Do you know what I mean? He basically says to him that he wishes he was him and all that, and he looks up to him and things like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was lovely, wasn't it?
But then he looks at Drago and goes, "What is it? Forget it." That's what I wrote down. That made me laugh because I think a movie like this needs not too much, but drops of humor in those kind of tense moments, you know.
Well, I think Paulie was integral to that, mate, because I think Paulie's he brought the humour to it, even the robot scene as well, mate. You know what I mean, it just brought a wee bit of kind of laughter to it.
Justice for the robot.
Aye. So it's a very hostile environment, mate, and the David versus Goliath setup. I think what you said, mate, was absolutely right, mate. Do you know what I mean? Not to break the fight into too much detail, mate, but obviously it's quite evident, mate, that Drago is pretty dominant, mate. You know what I mean? His punches are pretty brutal. He's like it's like the guy says, whatever he punches, he destroys.
I just couldn't see any way. Even now that I've watched it, I'm like, how did it just seems quite sudden that Rocky kind of gets a hit in and then gains the upper hand, you know? It's like, obviously it's a movie. I don't know if real life boxers would have been able to take as many punches as Rocky does in this fight, but
Homer Simpson does. No, but Rocky's known, mate, for like taking the pain, mate, didn't he? Like he's known for. Well, I know you might not know this, mate, but he's not seen all the films and stuff like that. But he's known for like absorbing the pain, like and just take the punishment and then use that to kind of bounce back. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's I can't remember which round it is because as the fight goes on, mate, you do see the round number and things like that, but. You can tell that Rocky's starting to land punches and stuff like that. You can see that Drago's getting tired as well, but he's surprised at the fact that Rocky got quite quickly to him. He got quite close to him and he got to punch him and things.
Yeah,
and it's like,
sorry, on you go.
I was just going to say, mate, probably the most noticeable thing is that when he punches him, mate, he cuts him, and the whole crowd's shocked, mate. Even the commentators are like, "Oh my god, he's made him, he's cut on his face." Do you know what I mean? This is where it's a turning point.
There was a quote I wrote down from that. It was, "He's not a machine, he's a man." So that was the catalyst, really, wasn't it, for the success? Because it was showing a lot of shades of the Creed death, wasn't it? Because like Adrian was like starting to shout and like kind of call off the fight, throw in the towel, that kind of thing.
Aye.
But then once he makes him bleed, that's where I suppose the tide turns, and he doesn't get it all his own way after that, but it's starting to be a lot more even, I would say.
Aye, he made Drago bleed his own blood, didn't he?
Nelson Muntz. Was there not a?
Dodgeball.
No, but it was in The Simpsons as well. And Nelson said, I think it was one of the early episodes where it was Bart the General, when they have all the water bombs, and Nelson's like, "He made me bleed my own blood." Would there be not a Simpsons reference for Snatch last week, or did I make that up?
Oh, we did, mate. We did. With
what was it again?
It's to do with boxing, mate. I think it was to do Homer Simpson, mate, taking a dive.
Oh yeah, because there was boxing and Snatch as well. Yeah, there you go.
Oh man,
boxing month.
But you can see Drago's kind of his corner, mate. His trainers are starting to panic as well, mate. And that's when they start telling them, like, they basically instructed them. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not doing what I told you today, and all the rest of it. And it's like he's made of iron. Like, I don't know what else I can do. Basically, I've been punching him for the entire of this match, and he's not going down. So he's kind of good. No, you go, mate.
I was just say there's a good line where Rocky says there's three of him, and then I think it's, I can't remember who says it, but he's like, "Hit the one in the middle."
Aye, Paulie says it. Hit the one in the middle. Aye, I think it's Paulie anyway, mate. Aye, so that's so it gets to the final round, mate. Both boxers are knackered, mate. What is it he say? Did they say each other? What did they say each other in the final round? Did they say anything? I made that up.
Who?
I think I made this up, mate. I think a different film, mate. Now I think it. I don't know why I thought that. I don't know. Anyway, but you can see that basically Rocky needs to knock him out. Rocky's lost this match.
Aye, he wasn't going to win it on points, yeah.
No, he was never winning it in points, mate. He had to knock him out. And he can basically happens, mate. I mean, he gets a few kind of combos in, man, and then he gets him, knocks him out.
Well, that's the bit I was saying. It's like back when he was like chopping the trees with his fists.
Aye.
The logs with his fists, and he does like a kind of chopping motion, which shows that the training paid off.
That's right, mate. That's right, and as well, mate, I've not said this already, but because as Rocky started to turn at the match in his favour, the crowd started to turn as well, mate. I mean, they started shouting his name and all that sort of thing, and which was unheard of. Do you know what I mean? Like,
all the politicians and stuff.
Aye, well, they were really happy.
Who's the guy that doesn't stand up? Is he meant to be like the president, or like how important is he?
Don't know.
You know, the guy that stands up last.
Aye, I don't know who he is. Maybe the president.
Yeah, he's also important anyway. And then you've got the speech. he was talking about like the main part of the speech was about being better, wasn't it? Like being a better person, or was he referring to like the crowd and saying like yous are all here watching, like hoping somebody dies, like try and be better? Was that the kind of gist of it?
I think it was that. Even like I think it was the day with the like political as well, mate. The Cold War and all that sort of stuff. So he says during this fight, I've seen a lot of changing the way you felt about me, and the way I felt about you. In here, there were two guys killing each other, but I guess that's better than 20 million. If I can change, and you can change, everybody can change. So it's obviously a Cold War reference, do you know what I mean, as well.
Yeah.
And I think he goes home and all the rest of it, mate. I think that's the.
I don't really remember much after that point.
Nah, that's the film, mate. It's
you get a kind of montage at the end, don't you?
Oh,
like the credits. It's a kind of montage.
You do. But I mean, I think it's a lot of kind of powerful themes in this film, mate. You know what I mean? It's like, we spoke about the ethics and the moral decisions of Rocky, but we've got the man versus machine aspects of it all. They've got the hopeful optimism and
friendship,
and just obviously just the
manipulation as well of Drago by his wife.
Aye, definitely. Not just his wife, I think just by the government as well, probably. I mean, this as you said, mate.
So calculating though, like she doesn't show like any like human affection for him really at all, does she? It's all just about how useful he is in the ring.
Aye. Okay, mate. Then so, that's the end. I'm going to go. I've no checked the Seismic supporters, mate. I need to go and look at that.
There was a couple of comments on. I stuck something on just earlier today, just in the off chance we hadn't had anything.
Do appreciate that, buddy.
But there was a couple of things on. I don't know if you're wanting to do them or.
I'll read them out, mate. So thanks for putting on, Colin. So Chat Tsunami replied back to say probably one of the most, and it's honestly an incredible film. Probably the one I've seen the most, and it's honestly an incredible film. Goofy, 100%, but still has one of the best soundtracks of the series. Absolutely. And watch if you can. Rocky IV montage scenes are outstanding, and features a truly convincing Gorbachev.
I'm not sure. You obviously put on a post when we picked Rocky for the next review, but I'm not sure if there was anything said at the time. Oh, casting views and VHS Abyss Chris. There's a couple of comments on there as well.
You got them there, mate?
Yeah, so casting views said, I absolutely love this series of films and was one I literally grew up watching. Rocky IV was the first film I remember seeing at the cinema, so that's pretty cool. And that opening match hit hard as a kid. And then there's a gif saying, throw the damn towel. And then VHS Abyss Chris said, what was Apollo thinking with that ring walk? He left no energy for the fight. Yeah, it was pretty extra. So thank you to the people who chimed in. And thanks to everyone who continues to like and share. And we did get a new subscriber during the week. So we're on 176. So if you're watching, any subs to get us moving forward, we appreciate it.
Yes. Okay then, mate. So let's hear it. What is your Seismic star then out of 10 for Rocky IV, 1985?
Right. So obviously there's a bit of context, obviously, in that I have done a bit of a poll with this series, kind of backwards and forwards. I think what I really liked about this film, see when I contrast it to Snatch last week, Snatch was, you had to pay so much attention, and even watching it a couple of times, I was still a bit lost at times. I like how easy to watch the Rocky films are. I feel like they're good as like a kind of comfort film. You can just kind of drop into them, having missed the two before it, and you immediately just know what's going on. It's a really simple story. Obviously, the whole Apollo Creed death scene I already knew about, so that maybe didn't hit. It still hit hard, yeah, but maybe it'd been interesting to see that bit, having not known. Although we joked about the montages and how it took up a third of the runtime, I really did enjoy them. I really liked the kind of contrast between the training styles. I thought the last, mostly the last fight was really good. In terms of a score, it's not like obviously the most complex film in terms of like plot and story, etc., but that's not what it's aiming to be. So I think a pretty fair score for this one would be 8 out of 10 for me.
That's a good score, mate.
I think it's a nice sweet spot. It's not like a Oscar-winning film. It's just a simple boxing film between kind of the David and Goliath characters, as we said, but it's got a lot of heart, a lot of memorable lines, good characters, some good themes, as you said.
Aye. I'm going to give it a 8.5, mate. 8.5. Just love the film, mate. Do you know what I mean? I think it's the music behind it all, mate. This is inspirational, mate. It's like, obviously, there's a lot of kind of hard-hitting scenes in it. Obviously, with the death of Apollo. Look at the themes are, Man vs. Machine, the David Goliath, call it what you will. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of kind of good scenes that way. Training scenes, the montages, like we say. Obviously, I don't know. It's great for dialogue in terms of, like you say, more kind of complicated films and complex scenes and whatever. But again, for what the film is and what it's trying to achieve, mate, it does that. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, brought a bit of political aspects into it as well, being in the Cold War and all that sort of thing, which could have been maybe a bit treading water. Do you know what I mean? Like bringing that into it.
You wouldn't be able to do this film right now, I don't
think. I don't think so, mate. But listen, it's like I say, it's a film that I watched many a time, mate. You know what I mean? And it's why I can talk about the scene with the robot and things in it, because I've seen it that many times, mate. It's not the one I've seen this time around, but like I say, mate, I was like, where's the robot? I don't see it.
Yeah, I'm glad I've revisited it because I really did enjoy Rocky when I watched it, and at the time I did plan to. I remember saying that, "Oh, we'll watch through the rest of them," but life just kind of got in the way. But it'd be good at some point to catch at least 2 and 3 to kind of fill that gap, and also finally watch Creed 3. And I would strongly encourage you. I think you'd really enjoy the Creed films.
I think I'll do that, mate. I think I'll go and watch the Creed films.
Because it's what's his face? He's quite a big actor. He was in Black Panther. What's his name? Michael? No. What's his name?
Is he in Straight Outta Compton? Is he in that?
He might be. What's the guy's name? It's annoying me now.
Go and search it up.
It's like a really obvious name. Like once you got it, I'm like racing you here.
I don't know, man.
It's Michael B. Jordan. That's it. Oh, because it's Michael. Because of the Michael Jordan, that's why it was like a really obvious name. But I think he was in Black Panther as well, if I'm right in saying.
I was thinking of Corey Hawkins, I think.
But no, it's really good. And then you can obviously listen to me and Paul's review from back in the day as well.
I'll do. Right, okay. So that's us done then, mate. That's us done our Seismic stars and all that, and the silent supporters. Now, it's on you now, mate. What is the choices for the people to vote for our next review?
Okay, so I actually went through the IMDb top 250 films, but I only looked at the top 150. I was like, we'll choose something that's quite highly rated. Also, with it being term time and not the holidays yet, I'll also choose films that are like probably no more than 2 hours, so they're I can fit it a nice wee watch in at the weekend without straining myself. So Before I've been kind of going for maybe like films from the same director or same genre, but I've decided to do more what you've kind of done in places where it's just kind of 3 totally random films from different genres, just for a bit more variety. So
Oh.
the first film is a film. They're all 2 of them are quite old films actually. Actually, they're all pretty old films actually. So the first one is one I've not actually seen, but I've kind of wanted to watch it for a while, and I do have access to it on my trusty Now TV. So the first film is Taxi Driver, 1976.
Great film, mate. Aye, Dino.
So I've not seen that, so it would be good to check that out. The second one is one I've wanted to review for quite a long time. I don't think it's ever went into the voting yet, although we have kind of talked around it a wee bit. The second one is Alien.
All right, good. Seen that, haven't you?
I've seen that, yeah. I've seen
Aye.
like the first 3 plus like some of the sequels like Prometheus and things like that.
Yeah.
So that was the second one. And the last one, I was originally going to go for the more modern version, like the sequel, but it's not easily accessible to me. So that was my second bit of criteria, along with length. So the last option is Top Gun.
Oh, nice, man.
So Top Gun, Alien, and Taxi Driver. That's my 3 options for this week.
Highway to the danger zone.
So again, I don't know if I'll spoil it anyway. I did a bit of a poll. I seen Top Gun Maverick and then finally watched Top Gun because I had Top Gun on DVD
Aye.
for ages. I bought it and I just hadn't watched it. But then I saw Top Gun Maverick, which I really enjoyed, and then I went back and watched the original Top Gun as well.
Oh, well, they're 3 good choices, mate.
Yeah. So yeah. So we'll see what comes up. I think that's a tough one. I think.
I think I know. I
I
think I
do
know.
well, but I think Top Gun's maybe the favourite at the moment.
Aye.
I think Alien could do well as well.
We could do, aye. Obviously, we've got quite a clientele of our listeners, mate. Do you know what I mean? We'll decide that. Like
Yeah.
I think it would be between Top Gun and Alien. I think. Well, Taxi Driver is a good film, mate. Do you know what I mean? But
So three totally different films, but gives a wee bit of variety.
aye, sure does. Okay, so before we go, again, just you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Facebook. You're already watching us, I guess, or listening to us on Spotify or YouTube, but you can tell your friends and things about us. Get us to 180 subscribers on YouTube. We are 176, as Colin said before. We do want to get a nice round number. 180 would be fantastic. And aye, thank you again for listening, folks, and watching. We do appreciate it. We would like you to, again, doesn't take too much time, man. Just like the episodes as well, and if you can, just kind of comment on it if to say what you've liked or any just information or you want to give us about the episode, man. You know what I mean? Just keep it coming. It just sets us up in an algorithm. It helps us get more views and things. So if you could do that for us, guys, that'd be magic.
And we've got quite a lot of listeners and viewers from different countries, which the analytics tell us. So we'd love to hear where people are listening from and how you came across the channel.
Definitely. And do the subtitles work? I'd like to know that.
I've got some statistics on that actually. This is my last review before we go. 6% of viewers watched with subtitles in the last 90 days. So 268 of our views had subtitles. But I watch everything with subtitles. Things that are in English, so that doesn't really mean much. But
so do I. I don't
watch podcasts with subtitles though. I just watch like TV shows and movies with subtitles.
Aye, same here. Yeah. But I don't know if the podcast that we're on does actually, the transcript. I don't think it will be.
The transcripts are funny. Remember those ones on Spotify that we were having a right laugh over?
That's right. Oh dear. Okay, anyway,
we're
just
rattling off.
Guys, this is the dead stuff now, right? Okay, so Again, thanks for listening, watching, guys. Do appreciate it. I'm James. I probably wrote an essay on it. Paul has watched Creed 3 to Rocky
Oh, that's
4,
me.
5. In the wrong order, and Colin.
You're the one who hasn't seen it, and I hadn't seen this, but I now have. But I was also Paul this week because I watched things in a weird order.
Right, guys, take care. Cheers again.
Housewarming Saturday, sorry I can't. Wedding reception, no sorry I plans. Can you work weekdays? Not now, I'm a dad and my granny's passed away. Fancy
Seismic Cinema would like to thank the Fast Camels for our title and end credit track, Tales of the Expected. The Fast Camels are an explosive blend of 60s influenced psychedelia, freakbeat, and classic power pop. You can check them out on Spotify, YouTube, and on their website through bandcamp.com. Thanks, guys.